Well, good afternoon, my beauty professionals. Thank you for listening to Miss V's Real Beauty Talk. And today is a little different topic, although I think I've spoken on it in bits and pieces of some of my other episodes. But this episode is kind of near and dear to me in that I have spoken to more than one student of mine, and they're telling me their stories in the nail salons. And I say, well, why do you tolerate that? Well, I don't know. I don't want to make them mad. Oh, okay. So you're paying someone your full money and you plan on tipping them for abusing you. So this is a question that I have. And if you have any thoughts on this, please feel free to comment and let me know. But my topic was going to be, why do most people tolerate certain treatments in the nail salons? But the truth is, it's not just nail salons. There's hair salons that are not too cool either. But then my thinking is also, what has made us as professionals think that this behavior toward the public, toward our clients, toward people who are, you would call them your bread and butter. They're helping you to pay your bills. These people are paying for your time. These people are coming to you, trusting you. And yet we feel comfortable and complacent enough to mistreat them. What is that? What has made us as professionals think that behavior is okay? Why would someone is coming to you, that is someone's wife, mother, daughter, sister, auntie, husband, father, uncle, brother, dad, granddad. These are someone's loved ones. They're coming to you, and yet you think it's okay to reuse that vent brush because the last person that you used that brush on, their hair was shampooed because you cleaned it, and you think that's okay. Well, I just don't have time, Then hire an assistant. Hire an assistant that does nothing but disinfect your tools. Please. There's always some way to make it the right way. And I always have tried to encourage the students that I have taught the right way. And I've always told them, if you make this a habit, it will become a part of your daily routine, which means you will make it part of your time, and it will not be a hindrance to you because you've practiced it so much that it's like second nature. So your cleanup and all that happens so fast because you're so used to doing it all the time. You're used to cleaning up your workstation after every client. So it becomes a part of you. You're used to, it's just like when we teach them in freshman class, you're used to holding that comb while you're cutting the hair. Before, you were comfortable just slamming it down on the table every time you would make a part or a section, right? You weren't comfortable holding that comb with your shears. You weren't comfortable palming your shears. But as you practiced every day in class, when you got out onto the clinic floor, you were comfortable palming your shears and holding the comb, and you didn't place it down until you were done with that haircut. So as you graduate, and if the habits continue in the salon, of course you can become comfortable with that, and it becomes a habit. And the more you practice something, the speed comes. So you're fast with it. So you can quickly spray down your station, your chair, the bottom of your chair, your countertop after every client, so they can sit down into a clean chair, not a chair at your station that's filled with hair from your last client, which, by the way, carries bacteria. Doesn't matter if you shampooed it or not. because we are out in the air. So as soon as you lean their hair up and put down that towel, their hair is exposed to the air, which what's in the air? Bacteria. Just that simple, right? And so you sit the client down and they're covered in hair from the last haircut, and you just lightly, blow dry it out of your chair. No regard for this client who's giving you money. Not to mention that they may refer someone to you. I don't know. It kind of saddens me that we're okay with this kind of behavior. And I think that's why I loved Tabitha Coffee so much, because with all my ranting and raving and telling the students this and being so passionate about it, she probably is one of the only professionals that I see that's on TV and very well known that upholds the standards of a professional cosmetologist, beauty professional that should be upheld in our industry. I think because for me personally, I think that it was such a fight for me to prove that the career that I had chosen was a real career, because I was ridiculed for choosing this as a career. I was ridiculed for dropping out of college because I was not happy in college. And I went to cosmetology school and everything finally made sense. And I was like, okay, this is what I should be doing. But then I had family members, not all, but some family members ridiculing me and saying, why don't you get a real job? And then you tell people, oh, what do you do? Well, I do cosmetology. Oh, okay. They don't consider that a real job. So I have such a passion to really teach the younger ones, the future cosmetologists, to have that same regard for this industry. It is a profession. Is it fun? Yes. My goodness. It is one of the funnest careers you could ever want for, I believe. I believe that you could extend this career to any possibility that you want it to be. As creative as you can get, you could take this career there with your license. I believe that wholeheartedly. But I believe that there is a standard that we should uphold about ourselves. Being on time, presenting yourself in a way, the way you speak, all of that matters, because so many people have thought that this is not a real job. I've had students who did not make it in the industry. In other words, what I'm saying is they either dropped out of school, or they finished school, got their license, didn't renew it, or they renew their licenses, but they're not really actively working in the industry. And they say, oh no, I went and got a real job. And I go, excuse me? You had to go get a real job. Now, what does that mean? Oh, you know what I mean? I mean a more, like a corporate job, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, just say it's a corporate job. That doesn't mean it's not a real job. The job that we have as cosmetologists is not just the physical part of designing someone's hairstyle or giving them a made-up look or fixing their nails or, their skincare regimen. It's not just that. It's dealing with the personality that comes and sits in your space. It's, being empathetic towards a situation that they may share with you. And still being able to maintain your professionalism and not let all of that sink into your soul and take it home with you at night. It's a lot of work required behind that chair, right? And so to give it such little regard by proving to the people who don't think much of what we do right by not upholding the cleaning standards and all of that, and not treating your clients to the utmost with the utmost respect, because really, like I've said in prior episodes, we're not needed. We are not needed, people. We are nice to have, and whoever is willing to pay me $500 to $1,200 for me putting your extensions in, and for me putting color in your hair, you're willing to pay me $300 to $500 for doing color correction and highlights, and you're willing to drive from your home and not try it yourself from some box color at Walmart, and you're willing to spend $200 to $300 on products from me that I'm selling you, instead of going to Costco and buying bulk shampoos and conditioners after I just did all this work on your hair. I am really grateful and thankful for that opportunity. You see what I mean? And I'm grateful and thankful that you may refer others to me. And I'm so thankful that you may want to come to me for years, that you may bring your grandchildren to me for their first haircut, that you may want me to do your hair and your makeup and your nails for your wedding. I am honored and I'm thankful for that. But we tend to get caught up in the day-to-day, and we forget these things. And we forget that everything that it took to get that client, we have to do those same things to keep that client. It is a relationship. We get comfortable with that. And that's just coming from the professional side. The question is, and it remains, how and why have we gotten so complacent and comfortable with mistreating our clients, our people who bring us an income? Why are we comfortable doing that? Why are we comfortable putting the drape on their bare necks without protecting their skin? You know better. And you're going from neck to neck. You haven't washed that drape. So I'm wondering, why is that okay? Why is that acceptable behavior? Or you don't disinfect your brushes except once a week. You're reusing these same brushes. You drop your comb, you pick it up, you reuse it in the hair knowing that it's wrong. Knowing that that is like a germ magnet, and you just put it in their hair. But because nothing ever happens and no one's complained yet, we're okay with that behavior. But now let's flip it over to the client side, because this has to do with more than getting a service. It goes somewhat deeper, and I'm not going to get off into that deeper side. I'm going to let you think about that and figure out why it is within yourself as a guest or a client who is paying for a service to be done. Why are you allowing for someone to mistreat you in the salon? And then, why are you paying them full price? You're not saying anything, and you are still tipping these people. There is an issue there. Granted, some people don't know. Now, I can only speak for myself. When I was younger, I think I've only gotten my nails done in the salon, as far as acrylics go, about 3 times in my life. And I'm going to tell you why. It was too painful. That was the number one thing. It was too painful. It was too painful. That's the number one reason. But as I got into school and I started learning about things, and I would get letters in the mail when I would, you get a letter in the mail that your license is up for renewal, and they would tell you the latest, greatest things that's happening in the beauty industry. And I would get these letters about the nail salons and how this particular behavior is happening and it's not okay. So I would find that out and be like, oh, okay, that's not cool. So I remember when I would get my nails done, I always loved the smell. I always loved being in that atmosphere, which At that time, I had no clue I would ever end up doing nails. But at that point, I always loved the smell. I'm just weird like that. But I remember so clearly how every time I would get my nails done, they would be finishing up a client and they'd be filing away with these files, right? Hand filing with the acrylic files. And then I remember they would tap that file on the table, on the towel, to shake off the dust. And then they would fan over to me. Okay, come on over. So then, I'd say, okay, I want a full set, want them about this long, blah, blah, blah. And they would just start shredding away at my nail. And they would be using the same file that they used on the last client. But at that point, I did not know. I had no clue that was not okay. It wasn't until I started teaching that I was like, oh, wow, that is not okay. You're like sharing someone's skin cells from like 10 other clients before you because they're not changing these files. Your arm is resting on the towel when Lord knows how many clients they've done before you. All the acrylic sheddings and shavings and skin cells and all that, cuticles, all that, your arms are resting in. But I had no clue. If it was not for the pain, I would probably be getting my nails done. I do my own nails now. Of course, I've done them for years. But back then, I was young. I mean, I loved the look. But the last time that I got my nails done, it was my senior prom. I think I got them done one more time after that, but it was some years later. And because I remember they were blue, they were gorgeous. But I learned later about the dental acrylic because I remember soaking my nails off, trying to get them off after my senior prom, and they were so hard to get off. It took over 3 days to get off. But it wasn't until later that I learned that it was dental acrylic, which they're not supposed to be using. And this is when in the salon, this was in Oakland. I lived in Oakland at the time. I only paid $17 for a full set. Garnet red polish. Lasted for a very long time. But I got tired of them. And spent 3 days trying to get my nails off. So that was a huge turnoff for me. So back to the question. I've spoken to my students, their nails, I always compliment them. Oh, your nails look so good. Where you get them done. Get them done in this place. And then they'll tell me their stories about what's happening. I'm like, really? And I'm like, so now why would you allow them to do that? Yeah, last time she, used that electric thing and drilled my nails until they bled. Really? And you paid for that. So let me get this straight. You sat there. You were in pain. They tapped you on the hand, said you're okay. Didn't really clean the blood properly like they're supposed to. And you didn't say a word. You paid them the full price. And then you gave them a tip. So why are we as customers enabling people to do the wrong thing on us by paying them and tipping them and not speaking up? And especially the students, because now they're being taught that these things are not okay. For instance, when you're using an electric file, when they're prepping your natural nails for the nail tips and for acrylics, they are not supposed to use metal bits on the electric files, right? They're supposed to use the orange or the red bits. They look like emery boards, but on a file bit, right? Those are called sanding bits. You can get bags of them, very cheap. They're supposed to be changed after every client. The point is, when you're prepping the natural nail, you're supposed to use those. They have fine, medium, and coarse. Usually you don't use coarse on the natural nail. You don't need to. You would use fine or medium. You file around the cuticle and come downward on the nail plate. Just like how when you're hand filing someone's natural nails, you never file across. most of the time when I watch these nail videos on YouTube and they're using the electric file, oh, they're just going straight across, back and forth. Well, first off, the electric file only rotates in one direction. You can make it in forward or you can put it in reverse, but it's only going in one direction. So all that swaying left to right is fake because it's only shaving when you go in one direction. Secondly, you don't want it doing that to the natural nail plate. You want that over the acrylic when you're doing the metal bits, which we call carbide bits. So that's when, let's say you applied acrylic too thick and you want to kind of shave down the curve of the acrylic or the gel. You use your electric file with the carbide bits to do that. But metal bits on the natural nail is a no-no. And then to shave it across the nail plate when it grows downward, that's a no-no too. So what you're doing is you're literally shaving away layers of the natural nail and you're putting pits in there. So then by the time they go in and they put primer on the nail, and then they put the monomer, which is the acrylic liquid with the acrylic powder, now it's going into the nail plate and it could possibly go into the nail bed, and you feel a burning sensation that is shooting up your spinal cord because you have nerve endings in the nail bed. Do you see what I mean? Now you've over prepped that nail unnecessarily. That is not the correct way. Anytime you see someone using the same file and buffer on a person, it's a no-go. They're not supposed to do that. Sanding bits, like I said, they're supposed to change after every client, right? So the question is, why are we allowing this behavior? And what can we do to stand up for ourselves, right? So what can you do? I'm telling you now as an educator that these things are not okay. That if your hairstylist is round brushing your hair and she's just pulling it out of the drawer and they're not coming out of an airtight container that says clean brushes or out of a Ziploc bag that says clean brushes and there's no hair in that brush, most likely she used it on another client before you, which is not cool. And so when they're done with your hairstyle, blow dry styling, whatever, those combs and brushes are supposed to go into a to be disinfected container so that they don't go and use it on the next client until it's been disinfected. Right? If they drop a comb or a brush on the floor, they are not supposed to pick that up and put it right back in your hair. They are not supposed to put a drape on you without a Sanex strip or a towel. If they're doing a chemical service on you, it's to be 2 towels with the drape. Some places put you in a robe and not really put anything over you. You know, I guess technically that's considered draping. But they're supposed to protect you because you don't want chemicals getting on your skin or on your clothing. That's the whole point of that. It's protection. Protection for you. Right? So these are things that I guess I want to put in your mind, a little food for thought. Some of you have a fear of confrontation and you rather just turn a blind eye. I would encourage you to not do that because you go home, you have a fungus, now your nails are turning black, they're falling off, or your finger swells up and you have a staph infection and you can't do your day-to-day function because your hand is so swollen. And if it goes internal, it can kill you. So I really became passionate about my students learning disinfection, sanitation, especially in 2006 when people started dying from getting pedicures because these people that are supposed to be professionals were not using clean tools on the client. They were not cleaning those foot tubs properly. One of them, these are called pumice stones. They're one-time usage. You use them to scrape off dead skin. They can help shave down calluses also. But it's a one-time usage, meaning it has to be brand new when it's used on you and it goes in the trash. Well, in the first case in 2006, it was a pumice stone. And the person was aggressively scraping the bottom of the feet of this client. Cut the client. The client bled. They did not do, the blood exposure or the miniature first aid, which technically, remember this, and I know I've said this in other episodes, when you cut someone, you have to immediately clean the cut with soap and water. You do an antiseptic on it and you put a Band-Aid on it. If it continues to bleed, what I usually recommend, like when we're doing hair cutting and they cut themselves, I say, okay, go wash your hands before you get a Band-Aid. So you do, soap and water in there, clean that bacteria out, put pressure on it if it's continuing to bleed, right? First, then put your Band-Aid on. Then you put a glove on. You either put a finger glove on that area or a whole glove on that area. And blood, if it's on your shears and all that, usually the tools, if it's a blood spill, it has to be double bagged and it's labeled hazardous, right? This is if it's a major blood spill in a salon. You have to take all those tools that the blood got on and lock them in a double bag, and it's a hazardous sticker or biohazard sticker that you would place on there, and you would have to clean the blood up with a hospital grade disinfectant that deals with fluids, so bactericide, fungicide, virucide. That's the kind of disinfectant, EPA registered, which usually is what we use in the salons, and that's why it's called hospital grade or hospital level. Because in the hospital, there's always bodily fluids all over the place. So their disinfectants have to be able to kill whatever is in those bodily fluids, right? Anyway, back to the story. Pumice stone cuts the foot. The nail tech does not clean the cut, just continues on with the service. The person gets a staph infection from the cut from the dirty pumice stone, meaning she had used it on other people's skin cells. Remember, bacteria reproduce 16 million around about in a 12-hour period. So that means every day that she had that pumice stone sitting in her station, around about 16 million bacteria was producing on that thing. And then she went and cut someone and didn't clean the cut, which that cut led for microscopic microorganisms to get into that cut, went through the bloodstream and killed that client. Killed him. So just imagine your mom going to get a pedicure and she dies because the person who's doing the service is not using clean things. So this is where I'm leading to. Why are we accepting this behavior as if it's okay? And every time it's like a form of Russian roulette because, nothing happened to me this time, so it ain't gonna happen. There's a possibility it can happen. And then you don't want to take your friends and take your loved ones with you to get the service. You're encouraging that behavior to continue. So this is why I'm bringing this issue up, because it baffles me on why we are so afraid to stand up for ourselves, but we're willing to pay. And I just tell my students up front, so you're willing to pay to be mistreated? Because that's what you're doing. I'm paying you to mistreat me. And you get to go home and pay your bills with the money that I'm paying you. And you're not just doing it to me, you're doing it to other people who aren't saying anything because you don't want to flare up an argument or get someone upset with you. But it needs to be brought to the forefront, right? These are not behaviors that have changed over the years. They have continued, and you would think that COVID would have changed things and would have changed behaviors when we saw that they could shut down all the salons if they wanted to. But yet we open back up, we're back to ourselves, and nothing has changed because my students are still telling me that they're getting mistreated. And some of them, their cuticles are red and swollen because the nail tech used the electric file, aggressively filing off live tissue that's not supposed to be filed off. That's your protection from bacteria getting in. The eponychium, which is the true cuticle, not that clear band of dead tissue, but the true cuticle, where when you're pinching and flinching because you feel them cutting off your live tissue. Or they're filing so aggressively underneath that your tissue, your hyponychium, gets sliced and now you're bleeding from underneath, and they say it's okay. What's okay about that? And then you're quiet and you just say, oh, okay, it is okay. So what's your fear of confrontation? I'm speaking to whoever out there can speak up for the masses. Why is everyone so afraid to speak up? And why are you so willing to pay? And why would you go back? That's my thing. Why would you go back when you know that they're not doing things the right way? Once you learn that they're not doing it right, no. Some of the nail techs nip aggressively with the nippers. Keep the same towel with the dust filings and skin, and you're supposed to put your arms in that. And so I guess with all of this, what I'm trying to say is, why is no one valuing their time, their health, and most of all, valuing themselves? Why are we not putting value to ourselves? Do we not know that great harm can come? We are a wonderful profession, but we can also be dangerous. And so I'm just going to leave you with this story that I've shared in my freshman class time and time again to really get it in them to not become those professionals that they have encountered in our industry. This was some years ago, and I'm going to try to look it up to know exactly when. But this is a true story. There was a nurse in a big hospital out in the Walnut Creek area who was reusing needles on the patient. And just like that, people come to us and trust us that we are using clean tools on them, that we are, upholding the utmost cleanest environment and safe for them. They're trusting that, just like you and those of you who are doing this to people are going to your doctors trusting that when they shoot that vaccine in your arm or when they draw blood from you, that they are drawing blood from you with a clean, brand new needle, right? You're trusting that. Because if you knew otherwise, you wouldn't allow it. You would not allow it. You probably would do some kind of bodily harm. If you saw your doctor go into one of those sharps containers and pull out a dirty syringe and get ready to shoot you up, you probably would fight them off and say, hey, what are you doing? Right? But yet we as customers getting our nails done and we're getting our skin nipped to the blood, filed down till it's painfully burning, or the stylist pulling the hair out and putting that dirty brush in my hair. We're allowing that, and we're not only allowing that, but we're paying and we're tipping as if that is a reward. Like, here you go, I'm rewarding you for punishing me. So what does that say about you and your self-image of yourself, the love that you have for yourself, the value that you have for yourself? There has to be more love for self, right? You have to value yourself more. Anyway, back to that nurse's story. True story. She was reusing needles. They had to call over 300 patients to come back to be tested for blood-borne pathogens. That includes hepatitis C, HIV, any blood-borne pathogen, because they had all been nicked by dirty needles in the hospital, right? People have died in this industry. Not in this industry, I correct myself, what I'm trying to say is people that have come to pay us money to get a service in this industry, clients have died. So just imagine you and your daughter, you and your son, whoever it is, you and your best friend, you're hanging out, girls' weekend out, or maybe it's a men's weekend out. Before we go camping, let's get some pedicures. Let's get our feet done and our hands done. You go, you get the service done. They use nasty tools on you. You feel sick a couple of days later. Your hands and feet are swollen. You have boils on your legs. You find out you have staph. But then it's too late. The staph has gone internal. So now you're septic because it's in the bloodstream and you die. And you just wanted to go have fun with your friends or loved ones, get a service done, go get that full set for St. Patrick's Day or, for Valentine's Day. I want to have my nails done. I want to look cute. And then I'm in the hospital. Or my mom's in the hospital. Or my dad has some head fungus because he went to go get a haircut. And, while they were blow drying his hair, they used some nasty brush and, got cuts in his head. And now he has some nasty head fungus or staph infection in his head. True stories. This can happen. It's a possibility. So, I know that I have said this in prior episodes, and I really rant about being clean and being professional because it is a huge deal. We are dealing with people from the public, and we should value ourselves and show people the same value that we have for ourselves. If I love myself, then I know that I can treat someone's mother who's coming to me for a perm or for a color with the utmost kindness and respect, which means I'm going to use all clean tools and I'm going to protect her from any harm because I would not want that harm to happen to me. So henceforth, I'm going to do that to you, right? I'm going to treat you kind and be protective over you as I'm doing this service for you because I care for you and I don't want to see you harmed or sick in any way by my hands. I don't want to see that. Right? And as a client, I love and value myself and I want to look good. And I heard that Ms. Vani does great services, so I'm going to go to her. But she's using dirty files on me. I just saw her finish that client up, and she's getting ready to use this file on me. So I'm going to kindly say, Ms. Vani, is there any way that you can get a new file and a new buffer for me, please? Because I know that's not sanitary. I appreciate it. Right? That's all. And if Ms. Vani gets belligerent and gets an attitude, well, thank you for your time. I'll find someone else. And I will kindly email State Board. I don't have to tell them that, but I will kindly email State Board and let them know what's going on here. that this person is not cleaning up their setups after each client, and they attempted to use a used file and a used buffer on myself. And there you have it. Because I want to live and I care about myself. And yes, I want my nails done. But there's tons of nail shops around. There's tons of hair salons around. So if one person can't do it for you, find somewhere else. Right? So that's all I'm saying. Love yourselves. Value yourselves. Know that you are worth so much more than what you think. And you need to start standing up for yourself. You are worth it. Don't just sit there and let someone file your nails to the blood and they're not cleaning the blood or doing anything. No apologies. They're just smacking you and telling you it's okay. That is not okay. You are paying and tipping for abuse. You should not be doing that. You're worth so much more. And we as beauty professionals, if you are abusing your clients, you've gotten complacent, you've gotten lazy, it's okay. When you wake up tomorrow, it's a new day. Do better. When you know better, you do better, right? Because we are so much more than what we think we are, and we bring so much joy and beauty to people's lives. So we don't need to bring dirt and, health risks and all that. There's enough of that in the world. We are professionals. We are beauty professionals and so much more. So with that, I want to thank you so much for listening to my podcasting channel. I know I have not done one in a long time, but I'm going to sit here and I'm going to plan out what podcasts I want to do next. So just hang in there with me, and I will talk to you guys next time. Thank you for listening to Miss V's Real Beauty Talk. Bye.